Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Being Your Own CEO, our weekly success circle. I'm Lowell Ann, and as you can see, I have some guests in the room this morning. But before we begin, because I saw that there were a few new people possibly outside watching, I thought it might be a nice idea to kind of go back to our old practice of really just talking about the principles that we use in our success circle here. So a long time ago when we started this, we decided on a few principles and we all agreed, and sometimes it's good when when we have some new people, it's nice to go back and review those principles. So in the old facilitation language, it's just speaking about ground rules. So our principles are that we consider relationships before business, that we remember you can get everything in life and business if you help enough other people get what they want. We stand for positive possibilities and keep an open mind. And I remember Sue Ferreira added a long time ago, we never sell anything we are not prepared to deliver impeccably. And certainly within the community, there are a few other principles around respect and giving everybody their equal voice, etc. So those are our principles. And then the next thing on the agenda is normally an introduction. So let's see, I'm looking at my screen down below, and it's probably a little bit different from what our viewers may be able to see. But on my right-hand side is Roland. So how would you like to introduce yourself? And for all of us, would you say who you are, where you are, and what your business is about, and any sort of little tidbit about your business that you would like to share in a very brief way. So Roland, away you go.
Oh my gosh. Hi, my name is Roland, and very few people could remember my last name, but Elaine Nieberding gave me a song a while back concerning my name, and so everyone seems to be able to remember it now. Taka Oka, whatever that came. It's really brilliant. But anyway, I'm an internet marketer as far as my present status online, but it's really not where my heart is, and I want to deal more with helping people be positive. So I'm working towards that direction. But I'm a WordPress man. I work with content management, video via YouTube, and building websites.
Right on. And thank you so much for that little little song you sang, because that really does help.
It does.
It surely does. So that's fabulous. And
who knew that was going to be such a highlight of my life. Anyway, thank you.
And I really do enjoy your Saturday morning Smarties, although I wasn't able to attend this week. My choir was performing down at the library that day, so sorry I missed it. I need to go back and listen to the video. So next in line is Nathan. Introduce yourself, please, Nathan.
Sure, my name is Nathan. I'm currently talking to you from Ensenada, Baja California, Mexico. Last number of years, my gig has been freelance writing. Been doing that for a very long time. I'm in a transition out of it. Although writing keeps pulling me in one way or another. But the major thing that happened, and I want to give a shout out both to Roland and to Craig last night for giving me a hand, because last night was my first Google Hangout. And with their help, it was recorded and went up on YouTube and everything else. And that particular thing is about my vocation, what I want to be my vocation, spiritual practice, and the topic is the process of letting go.
Right on. So that's great. Congratulations on your first Hangout on Air, I guess it was.
And I forgot to thank you for giving me the introduction to this thing. It really did help a lot.
Mm-hmm. Right on. So, Jay, you're next in line.
Can't hear you, Jay.
Okay, so we will move on to Craig while Jay messes with his sound. Good morning, Craig.
I'm just messing around.
You're just messing with my head, are you?
Just messing around, yeah. My name's Craig, and I run a company. It's called Who Marketing. I'm located in the Rochester, New York area. So I'm way over on the east side of the world compared to you guys. But what I do is I help small businesses get their businesses online and bringing in additional clients through their online properties.
Right on. So thank you, Craig. Nice to have you here, and I might just share with everybody that Craig and I are working together on my website. So, and I've got some things I need to say to you at some point privately.
Yep.
About our tool that we're using. So, so thanks for being here. So let's go back. Jay, have you got your sound going yet? Nope. So onward and upward to Anna. Well, it's so nice to have you back, Anna. You've been among the missing for a while.
Among the missing. I've been hiding down in Mexico. I just got here just over a week ago, I guess, on the 15th. Anyways, my name is Anna Fernandez. I'm with Travel Medevac. My site is medevacana.com. It's not quite up yet. You'll see it under construction, but it's almost there. And we specialize in air ambulance repatriation services. We have our own fleet of air ambulances and that sort of thing. We also provide the Mexican traveler with car insurance, condo insurance, anything like that. So that's what we're doing. And I'm an amateur website builder. Learning all about that. I'm having so much fun.
It is fun, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's great.
I hear a wee bit of chortling going on.
So Jay, let's see if your sound is working now.
Oso mio?
Yes, you're there.
All right, cool. Hi, my name is Jay, and my company is Affiliate Resources Incorporated, and I help people get started in the world of online marketing and affiliate marketing, which is basically passive income based on writing about your passions.
Right on. And I just want to share with everybody that in our little local home office support team network here, Jay is going to be our guest speaker in November. So looking forward to that.
I'm looking forward to speaking.
Yeah, it'll be good. So, and I will just say that in my work style lifestyle coaching, I love helping solo entrepreneurs find direction and stay motivated and build systems that support and promote their business, make life less complicated. I like to promote my Being Your Own CEO here for solo entrepreneurs, and I have a 3-part beginners Google for business program that looks at all the Google tools. That's the first module. The second module is how to get yourself all set up in Google Plus and with Hangouts, and the third module is, okay, so now I'm here, what do I do with it? How do I make good use of it for my for my business. And let's see, what else did I want to say? Oh, I wanted to show you all this morning, before we get started on our topic, that I have a comment tracker up this morning. And so if you want to add any comments or a reference or whatever, I would appreciate if you would put your comments in the community below where the Hangout is, so that I can access the comments and share with our viewers on screen. And I'll just share one of the comments that's there so that you'll get to see it. So you can see that I can bring a comment right onto the screen, which will mean that it would be included in the recording. So that is kind of what I would hope that you would do if you have some comments, to put them there so that we can bring them on screen. So I saw something pop up from you, Jay, that said something about Crowdcast, and basically what I decided to do this week was to try doing putting a link to the live event, the YouTube live event, on my website, just to see how it works. Does it work? So one of the things that I'm a little disappointed about Crowdcast was that they're going to be going with 4 people in the room, very much like the Blab. And if you want to stay with this, being able to have up to 10 people, it will mean $20 a month. Mm. So I thought I would try this and see whether it works. And next month, there's another Hangout wrapper called Hangout for Business, or Business Hangout, something like that. And I thought I might give that a try for next week, and just so that we have a comparison of the 3 and see which one that we think is going to work the best for us.
Okay. So just going forward, we're saying farewell to Crowdcast for the time being?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just for the time being.
Okay.
There are lots of things about Crowdcast that I really like, but yeah. Oh, okay. So Roland, you're saying Crowdcast costs $29?
May I comment on that and then maybe ask a question too? Yeah, they've been monitoring the response from people in the beta, and decided that they were $19 was way too low, so they boosted it up to make more money from the Hangouts folks. So who knows what they're going to change in the future? But $29 with unlimited views, unlimited attendees is presently their parameters.
Wow. Well, so it has changed from the last time I looked at it. It was 19 the last time you shared that document with me.
Correct.
Yeah. So I mean, as a solopreneur, that's expensive. I mean, there are other tools that I really need to spend money on. So therefore, I'm looking around for something that's affordable.
I think if you had 500 people following you, you might want to consider a thing like this.
Right.
And if I did, I might consider it too.
Right.
But, we're modeling for people who are beginning business and getting started, and the idea is the free version at least does a certain thing effectively, and that's really what I steer people towards. Because when they're getting started, they got to get a foothold. And then if they get a following and build up from there, then it's time to research their next step to move up.
Yeah. So Hangouts for Business has a free version that allows up to 10 people. So, and I know there are several other people in the Hangout Mastery group that use the Hangout for Business. So I thought I would give that a shot as well. So yeah, again, if you want to add comments, if you could add them to the bottom of the Hangout that is in the community, that will show up. And by the way, I discovered how to make a comment tracker work by using a hashtag. It's something that Michael Daniels discovered and did a little video on, and just last night I decided that I would give it a shot and see how it works, and it really works well. So, okay, so let's get away from the technical stuff this morning. Last time we did talk about the Zen of writing. And we explored our writing processes, and we realized that we all have slightly different processes, but in a sort of a way, the parts of the process may work a little bit differently and in different order for people, but that there is a sort of a meditative aspect. And by the way, I did my Monday Mindset article on that very subject. So, it seems that other people seem to agree that there is a little bit of a sort of a meditative aspect to writing. So at the end of our conversation last time, we scouted around a little bit to think about a topic for this time, and decided that maybe journaling for writing might be a good idea. And then I don't know, what is that term, the 100 monkey minds or whatever. Then we decided on that, and then all of a sudden I discovered that Martin Shervington did a session yesterday about his journaling experience. So I thought I might share with you what my own observations and my own research has shown. I discovered that a lot of people kind of don't understand. There's some terminology around that seems to need to be clarified a little bit, I guess is a better way to say it. So what's the difference between a diary and a journal, for example? So I read on one site that somebody thought that diary was a feminine term and journaling was a masculine term. And it made me think of when I was about, I don't know, 10, receiving a diary with a lock on it for Christmas. And I thought, well, maybe teenage girls do write in their diaries, or maybe that's just an old term. But I think what I would say now, that a diary is like a daily record of events and experiences. And there were some synonyms that I thought were helpful: memoir, chronicle, history, log. So then I looked for a definition of a journal, and what I found was a record of experiences, ideas, reflections, kept regularly for private use. And then I thought about that some more and realized they can be topical, and they're used for making sense out of feelings and emotions and reflections. And on a personal level, I think back on a type of journaling that I stumbled on years ago in my own coaching work, in The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. She talked about morning pages. And so really, on a personal level, journaling is kind of examining what's happening in your life, examining how you feel about things, uncovering dreams and goals, and sometimes even to de-stress. I remember way back in my government days that when things got really stressful at work, I used to write in my journal, and that seemed to help to diffuse some inner pressure that built up, for example. And so some other things, clarifying what matters, identifying things that you're worried about, keeping track of things that you find inspiring, and mind cleaning. In other words, just getting it all out of your mind. So, certainly, as I think about my career as a government employee, and then as a consultant, and then a coach, I've used journaling in various ways throughout my life. But then I began to think about, well, okay, so what about journaling for business? And I mean, as I think about our group that we like to work with, the solopreneur doesn't have somebody that they can use as a sounding board unless they belong to a mastermind or a success circle such as this. And so there are a lot of there are some very good approaches for using a business journal. So so I started brainstorming some of the things that you might use your business journal for, and they're somewhat similar to the way you would use it as a personal journal, but I think it kind of it's just more focused on what's going on in your business. So to get clear about your thoughts, in other words, to gain clarity, to gain a sounding board, in other words, being your own sounding board, to gain and keep your focus on your own business goals, to create a bit of momentum, to make better business decisions, to evaluate business interactions with clients. I was scouting around on the net and saw how one consultant used business journaling with his client, asking them to journal what was going on with their interaction so that they had something to work with. And I thought, gee, that's something worth considering in terms of working with a coaching client, for example. So to record strategies and ideas, to record to-dos and plans, to record results, or what do they call those, KPIs, key performance indicators, to identify personal development needs, to problem solve, and to amplify your trust in yourself. So those were some of the things that I discovered. And I might here make mention of what was in Martin Shervington's session yesterday. I think it was yesterday. He talked about his moleskin, and he has issued a 42-day challenge. And so his little model was about using one side of your journal for your to-do list, and the other side as what he called the state of play. So, and he referred to it as a non-online app. So I thought that was kind of an interesting thing. And so then the very last thing that I really wanted to share was if you're going to use it for business, it's probably important to make it a ritual of some sort. Same time, same place, same tools. And some writers will say it's important to get away from your online and to do it as a a paper and pencil exercise. I think it's Chris Brogan in one of his recent little courses talked to people about using paper and pencil as a way to solidify what you learn. He talked about it as kinesthetic learning. So, but the important thing is to get it out of your head and onto the paper, and the value of that kind of brain dump. And I think that was Alan, who talked about how if you just if you're stressed about all the things you're not getting done in your business and your life, you just do a brain dump, and what a relief that is. So that's a summary of what I've experienced and some of my research. So I'm wondering if anybody in the group here is using a business journal right now. Anna says no, she's not using one. What about you, Jay? Do you use one?
There it is.
And how do you make use of it?
Well, it's like amongst all the terms that you mentioned, I think brain dump is the one that's most accurate, because my hamster wheel is always rolling, in terms of ideas and whatnot. So writing down my thoughts about various things, various strategies and stuff. And the other thing that I do is I sometimes will, if something that I feel that I need to elaborate on, I'll actually put it on the whiteboard. I have 3 whiteboards in my offices, and I use them all the time. One is for organization, one is for daily events, and the last one is for just brainstorming.
Mm.
Yeah.
So I'm currently working with a client right now where we were trying to figure out how she could keep track of things, and eventually we came down to the fact that the whiteboard was the answer for her.
Yeah, I really like whiteboarding. Yeah, I really do, because I find that when you're writing on paper, it's all fine and dandy, but I find we tend to be perfectionists when it comes to writing stuff on paper. We we want to make sure we stay in the lines and make it look nice and pretty and neat and stuff. Whereas a whiteboard, you don't care, because you can just erase it, right? You can just right there, and then whoosh, and then at the end of the day, you just wipe it clean and you're good to go. So I really like using whiteboards for that purpose.
Well, my client said that the whiteboard for her allowed her to see it all in one place all at once.
Mm-hmm.
So it was her way of being able to stay with the big picture all the time, and yet still see the details. Yeah.
I do use a whiteboard, so I guess that's some kind of form of journaling. Plus, I have this ratty kind of notebook that I purge all my thoughts on. So I guess I do.
Yes, you do. What about you, Roland? Do you do journaling of any kind?
Of any kind?
Well, for business.
I would have to say yes, but it's probably not anything like what anybody's doing. I lost the use of my right hand, so writing my name is not a option for me. But I'm typing furiously left-handed. So when I moved over to Gmail a few years ago, it left my Yahoo basically free from inundation. So I used my Yahoo to make notes to myself.
Oh my goodness! So you're using email or a Yahoo journal,
It's just a foundation that's right there and available, so that's what I use. And I email myself, and then in my drafts section, I've got probably 100 articles that I can always retrieve. It's not the best for saving for posterity, but it's just a notepad to me. And then I go back there and I used to arrange my Smarties shows by by typing out my entire dialogue. I don't follow a dialogue anymore. You know, I mean, well, I do, but I don't make notes like my paragraph by paragraph the way I used to.
Mm-hmm.
We're just kind of like shoot from the hip, transparent, and just go for it. But I do make notes about things that I would want to remember to bring up or talk about, and then those are just reminders that we still work off of whatever's on the top of your mind.
Mm-hmm.
So that's about as much journaling as I do. But it's a good idea. I love to write, and then sometimes I get involved with that, but I mainly journal just to take notes to keep myself directed and to explore the possibilities, because I find that when you write things down, you take things to the next level somewhat. And yet writing down is also restrictive because you can only write so fast. I mean, your brain's working hopefully 1,000 times faster than you can type. But it's really good for setting things down so you can look at what you're saying and then kind of examine your thoughts. And that's a secondary thing that I think is very important. I'm pretty sure that Nathan's going to have a lot to say about this. We had a session yesterday, and it really concerned writing things down and getting them out in front of you so you can recognize this is what I'm thinking, and this is the internal me, and now what am I going to do with it? You can make a decision on advancing, finishing, canceling, or whatever, but it's really a way of screening your thoughts.
Now, and something I feel as though I should mention right now, Roland, because you mentioned that you have the use of one hand. I feel as though I don't have the use of either hand when I'm using this. So I use and carry my phone with me wherever I am. And I listened to, let's see, who was that? Mark Traphagen and his partner talking about the future not long ago, and they talked about how the future of online is going to be voice activated. So my walking partner and I over breakfast started messing around and realized that on your smartphone there's a place to just hit the button and tell the smartphone what you want it to do verbally. And it works really well. So we've been, when we need to send a text to each other or whatever, we've been doing that, practicing, making it work. But then I remembered also something that Steve Dotto, he's a big proponent of Evernote. And Evernote is a great way for keeping notes and keeping track of things that you want to remember, etc., etc. And if you use an Evernote widget on your phone, you can also go in there, dictate what you want, and Evernote will turn it into text and save it for you. Wow! So I'm practicing to make that work.
So just to kind of jump in on that, the evolution of voice activation is taken another leap, because I actually ended up getting an Apple Watch.
Oh,
and yeah, so now there's Siri, who is your virtual assistant on your Apple devices. Now with the watch, all you have to say is, "Hey Siri," and then it activates on the phone, and then you can say, what's the temperature today, or what's 100 times 144 or whatever, and it will do its thing, and it'll show you the answer. Now if it can't do it on the watch, it'll say, well, here, let me transfer you to your phone for that information.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, so there's the Apple Watch.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, and it's you might even, I don't know if you could see that, it says being your own SEO. It reminded me this morning. It taps your wrist. It gives you a little like that.
A buzz sort of.
It's not a buzz. It's very non-invasive. It's like a warm fuzzy hug all over. I tell you, I absolutely love this thing. It is awesome. One of the reasons why I actually ended up buying it was because I need to be more proactive to being active, and something is it has 3 tasks, right? 1 is to stand more, 2 is to burn calories, 3 to exercise. So it's got an activity tracker on it, monitors your heartbeat and all that kind of cool stuff. So it says, oh, hey, time to stand up. It gives you a little tap, so you stand up for 1 minute and say, hey, listen, awesome, you stood for 1 minute. Now go back to work.
I love it.
Yeah.
So I wonder if there will be one that's Android based.
Well, they do have certain an Apple Watch Android based. Never.
No. But a watch Android based.
Oh yeah, there's lots of other. They call them smart watches. There's like what's called a Pebble watch that's Android based. There's more Android based watches than there are. There's just one single Apple Watch. So. But it's absolutely fantastic. It's absolutely it's awesome. If you're driving and you have a call come in, the call will come in on your phone, and if it's a call that you want to take, you can actually talk on your phone, and the voice will come out of the phone. So it's literally like Maxwell Smart, So you could be driving, walking, doing whatever. I had to just the other day. I was at swimming lessons for my boys, and a call came in. And I had to take it. And my phone was actually in my bag, and I didn't want to dig through it. So I said, oh, what the hell? I'll just take the phone. I'll just take it on the watch. And so which just has the speaker, and I'd say, oh, hey, Alan, how's it going? Everyone's kind of looking at me. It's like, oh my God, is he from the future? It's like, what the hell's going on? It was really funny.
Tracy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally Dick Tracy. Yeah.
Now, Jay, sticking with the Maxwell Smart, do they have a shoe version?
I think they're working on that. I think that's an app. Or it's a case. It's a case.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we sort of we veered off of our topic here, but nonetheless, I mean, in a sort of a way, we haven't veered off either, because what we're really talking about is a variety of ways that we can be journaling.
So
keeping track of what we need to do.
Yeah, exactly. So whenever I need to take a note, I can actually do it on my watch. So I just say, hey, Siri, take a note, and then it'll provide the note, and then that note will get transcribed and then put into my phone, which syncs to my calendar, whether it be my Apple Calendar or my Google Calendar. So it's actually a real it's a convenience, So because if you're ever caught with a situation where you've got a thought in your head, but you don't have your journal or your whiteboard with you or something like that, it's just it's a wonderful convenience.
Yeah. So, but I think there's something that certainly something that Martin said yesterday was he's made a choice to do all his journaling away from the computer. And his idea about that had to do with all the distractions that are there on your computer now, so that you can really stay focused on what you want to do. And it's interesting that he has chosen to disable all of the notifications and all that stuff that comes in on his phone.
Yeah. I was just going to say that distractions are a choice on your computer. They are a complete choice. You have the power to turn those off. And whenever I'm writing content, I use something called IA Writer, and which completely takes up your entire screen, and I turn off any kind of notifications specifically within Google, right? So Google Hangouts and chat and stuff like that. I turn it off, and sometimes I'll even just turn off the Wi-Fi. That way, your notifications don't come on. So, and it works like that.
Well, and that's an interesting point, Jay. That is a choice. But what do you think? What does everybody think of Chris Brogan's idea about, solidifying the things that you learn with pen and paper because of that kinesthetic aspect of learning. I think that maybe it has to do with our personal style. Some of us are much more visual, some are much more audio, and some kinesthetic, and sometimes a combination of those. So, and I must admit, for myself, I find that writing, I can't stop writing. Like if there's something that, if I'm listening to somebody that I'm really concentrating on, I find myself writing the key words, and that came with a habit that formed when I started coaching. So that when I was on the phone with somebody and really listening and really being with that person, I found that by writing one or two words down, it helped me track and stay on track with where the conversation was, and maybe something that I wanted to go back to. So I've come to realize that there is a kinesthetic aspect to the way that I work.
I think it's also muscle memory type of thing, because when we go through high school and university, college, we learn to take notes to help absorb the information that's being given to us, right? Like by actually manually writing notes, and there's even we even learn how to take notes in high school, right? So I think going back to that and because that's just the way we were used to learning when we were growing up. So I think when we go back to that, I think it kind of triggers what I call muscle memory that helps you learn, right? And it works for me too. So, I mean, I know whenever I'm broadcasting my webinars on Fridays, a lot of people tell me to slow down because I'm trying to write notes, So
yeah. So a lot of people do. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So it's not a lost art, and I think it's something that we all need to do. I mean, if you think about 100 years from now, do you think are we still going to have writing, or is writing a slow, dying, lost art?
Well, I believe it's not even being taught in the schools anymore. So, the electronic piece is slowly taking over. So, Nathan, what about you? How do you do you journal for your work, and how do you do it?
Okay, let me get back on screen here so you can actually see me. I've been lounging in my chair because it's more comfortable. But anyway, yeah, I use journaling not necessarily that I would say for business. I use it for figuring things out. One of the things I do, which it's been intermittent, but I do it, is called a gratitude journal. What am I grateful for? And that's been something that I do intermittently. And it can be just for a simple thing like, oh my God, it's a beautiful sunny day. It's warm. I'm not freezing. I have a nice place to live in. Things like that, or sometimes even bigger ones, or oh wow, I just heard from a potentially new client. I wonder how that's going to turn out. So typically when I do a gratitude journal, I list about 5 different items. And that's a starting point. Whenever I can, at least 5 items. And sometimes during the process of writing it, more ideas come to mind, and I just write them down. So a really great thing about it is if I'm feeling a little bit off one day, I might just go back and read my entries, and that can really help quite a bit. The other thing that I do is sorry, you were going to ask a question?
Well, I was going to ask you, could you see doing a gratitude journal in relation to business?
Sure, but that's not my primary use for it.
Yeah.
It's more personal, what's immediate. Oh, and the other thing I didn't mention is I do it all on this. I do it on my smartphone. I have a note-taking program on my smartphone so I can type it in. And interestingly enough, you guys mentioned the voice-activated part. There's that too. I haven't used it that much, but there's a voice-activated bit where I can turn it on, speak into my smartphone, and it will transcribe it into text. And Roland, when you talked about the use of your loss rather of the use of your right hand, one of the things that came to mind immediately that I know would help you quite a bit if you're not using it already is a program called Dragon Naturally Speaking. Yeah, I see you shaking your head. You know of it. Okay, good. Dragon Naturally Speaking is for people who hate to type, but it's more than that. The late author, oh geez, what's his name? Terry Pratchett used it when he developed a form of Alzheimer's. There's a famous blogger out there by the name of John Morrow. He can't move, literally. You really can't move, hardly at all. He uses Dragon Naturally Speaking for everything. So to do all sorts of functions on his computer. Anyway, but getting back to the journaling, the other thing that I do when I have a problem, and this is part of what I referenced last night, it's a technique of writing. It's called self-inquiry, and it was developed by a woman by the name of Byron Katie, where yeah, you know about it, and it has to do with 4 questions. So, and what you do is whatever thought comes up that's troublesome, and they tend to be recurring in my experience. The same ones show up in different forms, but if it's really troublesome, you can sit down, write down the thought, and then go through the series of 4 questions. That may or may not be for business.
Well, it could be for business.
I said it may or may not be.
Yeah, it certainly can. Right.
So
I want to Roland is putting little comments in here. I might say that my husband is a lawyer, and he went through life with the secretary who did all the heavy typing, etc., and now he uses Dragon. So.
Sweet.
Yeah, so you can use it for. He says that it takes a while for it to learn your your accent and your phrasing and all of that. And he said that often a lot of people get discouraged before the thing ever picks up there. There's Jay raising his hand and saying that you got discouraged, eh?
Yeah. I can't stand Dragon Naturally Speaking. I mean, I'm the complete opposite of what everyone is saying, because I find I end up talking like a robot, closer to the microphone for some weird reason. It's like I'm talking to a foreigner. I get louder, I get slower,
I am speaking into the microphone.
Exactly. Like, how am I supposed to dictate an entire article using this thing, right? It's just ridiculous. So I just chucked it out the window. I said, no, I'm going to type, So I found that it's like golf. I have no patience for golf, right? I just like, if there's no kind of quick closure or quick thing that happens, I want an end result yesterday, so.
You're the generation of the instant gratification, Drew. That's what it is.
Pretty much, yeah. Exactly. So, I mean, I'm 42, so.
And Jay, the reason my husband really likes it is that he started the beginning of his law career dictating.
Yeah. Oh, he's doing dictation. Yeah.
So it really worked for him. Yeah. So now, Craig, what about you? How do you use journaling for business?
Well, most of what I do is I keep track of day-to-day stuff with Trello. And
Trello, yeah, I know that one.
That's great for keeping tasks and keeping me on track. As far as note-taking and stuff, there's this little app on most computers. It's called Notepad.
Yeah.
I find that it works really well. I keep a little notepad thing open on my computer. When I need it, I click to it and start dictating from Dragon on the notepad, and it works really well. Often I'll write notes in Word as well, but that's usually for more formal stuff. As far as Dragon is concerned, I use it frequently. I find that it works pretty well with my Blue Snowball, but it works so much better with a headset. So I actually have a friend who considers himself a writer, and he was doing a lot of jobs for people writing short articles and things like that. He has mastered his Dragon, and in 1 week he had a bunch of orders come in. He said that he wrote 47,000 words in 7 days, all using Dragon.
Really?
Well, John Morrow, this blogger that I wrote about, he's CEO, I believe, of Serious Bloggers Only. He uses Dragon pretty much extensively. He doesn't really have any other choice. I mean, guy's got a good sense of humor, though. But
once you've trained
do
the
know
Dragon,
that
it can be.
What's that?
Once you have trained the Dragon,
yes,
it is useful, but it is a humongously long learning curve to teach the software.
Is there a way to outsource that?
You have to ship your brain off somewhere too, Jay. There is one other thing that I know about there, and I can't recall the name of it. Actually, let me see if I can find it. But it's something that is for transcribing. So if you just speak into it, it's a program where they will machine transcribe your words. It's not 100% accurate, maybe 80%, 70, 80%.
Yeah.
But if you take, say, a 45-minute recording and you plug it into this thing, and machine transcribes what you've done in a matter of, half an hour to an hour, it gets it back to you.
Right.
And then you've got something to work from.
Yeah, I think it's not so much Dragon, like the actual software. I think it's just me knowing that I'm speaking to a robot. It's like, whenever you call someone on the phone and you get their voicemail,
yep,
your mannerisms change. Oh, hey, it's Jay. Yeah, so if you can give me a call, you end up turning into this robot yourself, Whereas if it's an actual person,
you're a robot, Jay.
Yeah, well, I am going to be cloned, so that's my bucket list when I kick it. So.
Well, at that, and you're going to have to start reading more Dilbert strips.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I'd like to raise something that Craig talked about, and that is the use of Trello. If you're a visual person, Trello works really, really, really well. You can color code everything, and it's really great. But the thing that I discovered about Trello is that I forget to open it. And so I'm much more apt to if I've got something written, and this is for the purposes of reminding myself to do something, I'm more apt to notice it if it's just scribbled on a piece of paper on my desk. So, but one of the things that I've come to realize about Trello is that it is really awesome, almost more rather than a reminder to do kind of thing, but more of a project management. So you've got a project you're working on, and you want to put the pieces in, the steps and the parts, and to make sure that everything is there. So I find it's very, very good for that. So anyway, so thank you, Craig. Now, Anna, what about you? You said you sort of use a little scribbler thing on your desk, and you use a whiteboard. What do you use the whiteboard for?
Oh, just to map out projects that I'm doing, that I'm working on, so I know what I'm missing, that sort of thing. Really important things that I have to pay or organize that. But I also use an app on my Android. I'm trying to remember what it's called now. I can't remember what it's called. And it's quick. I just press the top there, and I can make a quick note. I can make lists, checklists, all sorts of things. And I believe that it integrates also with my Google Calendar. So that's one way that I keep organized. It's not Trello. It's a different little note-taking thing that I discovered the other day. But yes, I've looked at Trello. Didn't really get into it. I don't know.
I couldn't either. I've got it, and it just didn't appeal. It just.
I mean, I like the idea of mind mapping with Trello, but I haven't got into that yet. So basically, that's all I do.
Okay. I've got a question for everyone. Do you think that we're using too many things to stay organized?
And then we end up unorganized.
I tend to use just Google Calendar for keeping track of what's going on. And things with my phone, and
if you think about it, if you think about it, like me personally, I use the whiteboard. I use my journal, just to brainstorm, and then to write, I'll use IA Writer, and then to actually create a blog post, I'll write in this IA Writer app that I have on my Mac. Then I will take that, put it in Dreamweaver to put the HTML in, because that's the way I like to do things, and then I import it into my website, right? The raw code.
It's actually a good strategy. Nothing wrong with that.
Oh yeah, I don't say there's anything wrong with it, but I find that but even just to stay, it's like the whole thing about staying organized and journaling for business is that I find that we're using so many things to do it, right? So, sometimes we're using this, sometimes we're using that. Oh, I've got a great app that does this, and then it transfers over into here and stuff, So it's just interesting. It just, when Anna, it just that, again, the hamster wheel is rolling, right? So, and as Anna was speaking, that was just my thought, when she said, I've got this great app, but I don't remember what it's called, and it just kind of reminds me. It's like,
okay, I found it.
So Jay, you talk about this hamster wheel,
it's
but
called Google Keep.
Yes,
I don't
know.
It's called Google Keep.
Yeah, there's a shopping list, so there's other things you can do with it, and I just started using it, so yeah. Sorry.
Yeah,
for years I was using that.
Well, Jay, your point about too many things, that's exactly what Martin was trying to say in his Hangout yesterday. Why not just turn all that stuff off and just go back to the very simple, basic paper and pencil. So, yeah. So, Roland, I see you texted. You had something you wanted to add.
Yes, thank you. The whole objective is to get things out of your brain and then activate them into someplace where they're useful for yourself and for other people. And there are way too many tools. And one of the problems is that people on the incoming market for business development are looking at the tools, and they're looking at the methodology from the superficial level, but they're not activated in what they're trying to do. So all they're doing is acquiring a lot of tools and learning how to do a lot of stuff, and it's really mostly confusing to them. And what they need to do is grab a few things that work and then use them, and not try to be on the cutting edge, not try to be the best, just something that works for them. So what we've demonstrated across the board here is that we all have our basic methodology for ourselves that works, and we should help people find their methodology, and that'll be how they can be more successful.
That is such a good summation. Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of the tools that we have that are cutting edge are so elaborate that we tend to almost get analysis paralysis and kind of like, I don't use it, right, because there's too much stuff, right? Yeah, absolutely.
So to sum up, I think what it does, what Roland said is, it's if we can, as solopreneurs with our clients or whatever, if we can help people figure out what works for them, and sometimes just knowing something like this Keep. I mean, if it works and it's simple, then yeah, adopt it, and that's my lesson is that I try lots and lots of different things, but I've come to realize that if it's not working, just drop it and do it. Find something that does work. So I see we are just about at the top of the hour.
Can I ask one last question, please?
You certainly may.
That was a question already.
Well played, Nathan. Well played. You'd said drop it and try to find another tool. But is that another thing that are we wasting time on, or spending a lot of time on, is finding that always perfect tool?
Absolutely, you're right. It's true. There's part of what you're talking about is shiny object syndrome.
Yeah.
Well, really, and you would know about it with what you do, and certainly with a lot of what I've done over the years. I mean, I've been making my living as a tech writer, writing about all sorts of things of software, and after a while it starts to drive you nuts, or at least in my case it does. And the number one thing that I absolutely hate about being a tech writer is when somebody asks me to write a review, because inevitably it takes a tremendous amount of time and I have to learn something new yet again. And I've done that hundreds of times. And at this point in my life, all I want is a few simple tools. So Word is one of them. Notepad, I use TextPad sometimes for writing because it does word wrap better than Notepad. Dreamweaver, like what you've spoken about, WordPress, just very, very basic tools. And in some ways, I might look like a dinosaur to some people, but I would rather be a dinosaur and just have some consistent stuff than have way too much. In my line of business, too much is too much, and it's easy to get too much.
Exactly, Nathan. If I could interject for 1 second,
Sure.
One of the mantras for the series that I produce is just, you don't need to do everything, and you don't need to be cutting edge necessarily. You just have to know how to do a few things right, and then just focus and continue it. And if you make good decisions on what you acquire as your tools, they'll last a while. So if you make some good, smart decisions, it'll be worth everything. And then that allows you to get to work and then to get some traction, and then you'll get some positive results. From there, you can make smarter and smarter decisions.
I couldn't agree more. However, I have to stick up for the Enneagram 7s like me. I love learning new things. Yeah, it's really important for us all to find something that works and stick with what works. So it's time now for us to wrap up today's conversation with a reminder to please join the Being Your Own CEO community. You'll find lots of resources and great conversations there. And be sure to contribute something. Tell us what you're doing, what you're up to. And if YouTube is your pleasure, please do subscribe to my YouTube channel. So this is Lowell Ann, lowelann.com, signing off for this week. And thank you to my guests for a very lively and great conversation.